Sean and Joe, another episode ready to go. They're gonna talk about the good and the trash and anything in between. Cherishing make-believe, get ready for Halloween. It's the horror show. I know you missed those guys. Tune in and find out what's on their list tonight. They butcher and dissect, take apart and mutilate. Listen to your two favorite brainiacs communicate. It's the horror show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Horror Show, the show that dissects, mutilates, dismembers, and butchers all of your favorite and not-so-favorite horror movies and other horror-related events. I'm Sean.
I'm Joe.
Hello, Joe.
What's going on?
Boy, I'm going to tell you what, these hour-and-a-half Patreon episodes are getting me, like, so fucking drunk before our real episodes that it's, like, a problem.
Nice.
Because we just listen to music now and just chill and shoot the shit. It's a fucking blast.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it.
Hopefully,
we got good feedback from the first one, so hopefully people are still digging the format.
Yeah, I hope they like it. We just did the Scream 3 soundtrack, a retrospective. We play every track, a sample, although we did play the entirety.
Play the David Arquette song.
Of the David Arquette tune. So head on over to Patreon, check that out if you're not a member. Boy, that was fun. that was a lot of fun listening to that album, sort of. Although, it's just good to reminisce on fucking bands that you haven't heard in, like, forever, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was so much fun.
Yeah, like I said, that's like all I do in my spare time.
Yeah.
Now this 2022, I'm going to do that for like albums that came out in 2002, 2022.
And you know what? Guess what? All that hard work you've done is coming through to help, because you can, like, literally name everything about every band ever in our Patreon episode. Like, it's insane. You're like, yeah, that came off their second album that no one knows about. It's the third track on that album. And I'm like, I don't know this band.
Most useless talent.
There was like 7 bands that I was like, I've never heard this band. And you were like, you absolutely have. And then we played them. And I was like, oh yeah, I absolutely.
Finger 11.
Oh man. I am, how do you feel about this Scream series that we're doing right now?
Well, the first Scream is a classic. Dude, Scream 3, we have multiple fans, who reached out to me and were like, Scream 3 is light years better than Scream 2. So I was hyped. I was hyped going into it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know that I agree. I don't agree. I don't agree with that at all. But I do think Scream 3 is better paced. Like, it has some elements to it that are better than Scream 2, and I think Scream 3 is better paced than 2 is. Mostly because it's not over 2 hours.
I'm with you 100% on that. I'm going to tell you this. I'm excited for Scream 4 from what I've read. I'm very excited for Scream 4. Scream 3 is still in that weird realm of, like, what the fuck happened while they were making this? And again, no one can keep their fucking story straight. Between Kevin Williamson, Wes, I've got some other through this book that my friend is reading. I got some more information from that book. What was the name of that book? I'm trying to find it. Sorry. I'll bring it up later, but there's a lot of information from this, and all of it contradicts each other, which was the issue with Scream 2. And it makes you go, huh, like, maybe this just wasn't a great, like, I've never heard of movies, and especially Scream franchise, right? Like, this is considered in high regard. Even when they're making it, like, they talk about it like this is the end all and be all. And it's like, why are you shooting this in, like, in a short time frame and all of these restraints? And some of it sounds fabricated. Like, I'm going to be honest. Some of it sounds like excuses.
We were saying that last time.
Yeah.
That a lot of times these things come out after movies are made, and they're like, well, you know, this happened. And I don't know. Maybe I'm too cynical, but I'm just like, no, it fucking didn't.
No.
That's not what fucking happened.
And you're not cynical, because in Scream 2, the big thing, everywhere you read was Scream 2, the script got leaked, and that's why the script was fucked up, and we had to write it the day of. Well, guess what? Scream 3 didn't get leaked, and they were writing the script the day of.
Dude, they were writing it so much that this is like the most meta Scream, right?
Yes.
The characters, because there's a movie within a movie, kind of like Scream 2, but this solely focuses around the movie within the movie. And the characters in the movie within the movie are complaining about the amount of rewrites, which they wrote in there because the real actors were complaining about the amount of rewrites that were happening for Scream 3.
They lost actors for this movie because of the rewrites. The aunt was supposed to be... Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. That's Scream 4, which also had rewrites. I think that was Scream 4. Fuck. I'm backwards now. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. So that's Scream 4. I'll talk about that next week. But one of the Gilmore Girls was supposed to be in Scream 4, and there was rewrites on that, and they were like, I'm fucking out. Like, this is fucking insane. But this one is worse. This one's way worse in terms of rewrites. I've got some stories about that are just absolutely out of control. And the weirdest part, they get a $40 million budget on this one.
Dude, the most that they've had for a Scream movie.
It's almost double Part 2.
So, which I wanted to ask you, what did they spend this on?
I have no idea, because apparently Wes Craven spent his own money on some of this. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? The first one was $15 million. The second one was $24 million. The third one was $40 million. I even looked at their salaries in this one, because this was shot in 2000, right? So Friends is off the charts. Off the fucking charts. Monica is getting married in Friends while they're shooting Scream 3. So it's like they're making $1 million an episode in Scream at this point. I verified that. She's making $1 million an episode. So I was like, there's no way that they couldn't have paid her like a fucking shitload of money. They paid her, I think it was $7 or $8 million for this movie.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's not, that's some of the 40 million, but like there's still a lot of money left. And she was, from what I saw, was the highest paid actress or actor in this movie. So, that makes sense. Nev was paid a lot less because she only worked supposedly only 3 weeks on this movie. Now, if you read online, it says Nev worked 3 weeks because she was super busy and all of this stuff. There is this book. God damn it. I take all these fucking notes and then I can't find anything in the notes. There was this woman. She worked very closely with, I got it right here. Mariana Maddalena. And she was a producer that basically only worked with Wes. And she is in this book constantly, this fucking book. And all she talks is like, she shits on Nev. And so the rumor was Nev was contracted to 3 weeks because she's busy. She's making, what's that movie called? Drowning Mona.
Drowning Mona.
Drowning Mona. She was making Drowning Mona at the time. That makes sense. But this woman comes on this fucking, this book and is like, Nev said that she could only film 3 weeks, and then everything after that was going to be $250,000 a day, $250K a day afterwards, which seems insane, right? And I'm like, what? Like, how does that come out? Like, that cannot possibly be fucking true. Like, that's not true. And if it was, it's probably the studio of Drowning Mona asking for that, not her. Personally, right? So there's just like a lot of I feel like there's just a lot of misinformation everywhere, like about this, like surrounding the events of this. But so Nev
this one had like the least amount of information out of the two.
Yeah.
As well, it seemed like they were just in it, in it for to be in it.
It is. It's insane. Like. And there's videos online of like Wes and Nev looking absolutely exhausted filming this and being like, this is the last fucking movie we'll ever do.
I saw that. And Wes looks beyond defeated.
He looks
also, I love there was a trivia. It was like Wes was being considered as the executive. How do you Wes directed it? What do you mean being considered? Why would he just put himself in it?
As that role? Why would you ever...
not Lance Henriksen's as Roger Corman's.
Okay, so let's talk about that fucking role for a second. Oh, wait. No. As Lance Hendrickson. He wanted to play Lance Hendrickson.
Oh, I thought it was Corman.
No.
He wanted to be Lance Hendrickson? Okay.
So he wanted to be...
Dude, did you read, like... Which makes me respect this film more, if true. That whole, like, side angle with Lance, which is so weird because it's so rushed and kind of, like, swept under the rug.
Yes.
But it was kind of, like... I read multiple people being like, it was a fuck you to Harvey Weinstein. And then, like, after everything came out in recent years about Harvey being a piece of shit and, like, using, you know, his power in the industry to, like, manipulate and get things out of women. That was Wes, like, just putting it to light and being like, fuck this guy.
I don't believe that to be true. So, okay. And, like, I have a reason, and it's not just to shit on Wes. I like Wes a lot. But, like, the more I read about this, the more alarmed I was that was in this. And like, you can read things online of people being like, this is an angry indictment of sexual misconduct in Hollywood, which, like, I would have loved if that was the case. I genuinely don't think I think they, like, threw it in there to just be like, as like a plot point. I think it just happenstance. There's an interview with Wes where they were like, boy, that guy sure seemed like the villain of the movie, huh? But, like, turned out not to be, kind of, right? Like you said, it was kind of like swept under the rug of the movie, right? And Wes was like, yeah. Wes's quote was, I don't really see him as a villain. And it's like, oh, Wes, are you sure that's where you want to fucking go with this? Because that guy was like, listen, I never had sex with Maureen, but boy, did I have parties where people fucked for their roles. And you're like, holy shit, what? And then there's fucking moments with Carrie Fisher, right? Where Carrie Fisher is in this movie.
Talks about Talks about Carrie Fisher playing somebody who looks like Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
And is mad about not getting the role of
yes.
Princess Leia because the real Carrie Fisher fucked George Lucas.
Is fucking, first of all, George Lucas probably not thrilled with that. That fucking joke. Also, Carrie Fisher basically wrote that entire part. So, like, that wasn't an indictment. Again, not an indictment by Wes. And really, when you boil this movie down, Wes has treated Maureen Prescott like a fucking bag of shit. And it's actually crazy. And in this movie, it goes over the top. Where, dude.
Poor dead women, just each movie, more and more shit gets piled on top.
And, like, why is everyone so concerned about who Maureen Prescott fucked? Like, I've never seen a movie so concerned about the two guys this one woman fucked. And that's, like, the entire plot of the last three movies was like, Maureen fucked this guy. A character.
All you needed was Cotton Weary, right? She had an affair with Cotton Weary. It sets Cotton up as a suspect. Right. And then the twist that they made with Billy killing her because he had the affair with the dad. That makes sense. That's fine. But then for each movie to just keep adding on and be like, well, she also fucked the entire Harlem Globetrotters. Like, what are we doing?
She fucked everyone at this party. What? Why is this a fucking plot point, Wes? Why are we doing this?
And making all the characters scream it in Sydney's face.
Oh my!
Like, show video proof.
It's so wild. It's so wild. And there's like some. I think it's the end, so I don't want to talk about it, even though basically we've always just talked about these Scream movies kind of in their entirety. But the killer at the end talks about the mom in such insane terms that I was like, oh, or like he says, the killer says, this is so nuts. The killer is like, she went out to Hollywood and she fucked these guys. And that's what made her a whore. They fucked the whore into her. And it's like, that is the craziest plot point I've ever heard in a movie in my entire life. I've never heard anything like that. That is absolutely nuts. And it actually bothers me that some of the people were like, this is such a great movie talking about slut shaming. Because I don't think that they were like, look how horrible this is. I don't think they did. I think it was just
I think they did. Point. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I think it was him tipping a hat at some of these people.
I hope so. But, Wes loves a good old rape in his movies. He can't fucking stop putting them in movies. It's insane. Joe,
You can't compare. Dude, you can't compare Last House to Warren Prescott.
Joe, it's even in like fucking People Under the Stairs. It's every fucking movie this guy does. Somebody gets right. Fucking Freddy was diddling kids. Like, come on, this guy's out of control.
Well, it makes you hate the villain even more.
R.I.P. Wes. R.I.P. You're a good dude.
No rape and music of the heart.
I actually Googled it today if there was.
That would be insane. If you put it in that, holy shit. Holy shit.
Is Scream, here's a question. Is Scream a slasher or a murder mystery?
I would say it's a slasher. The first one.
See, I feel the first one's maybe a slasher. I still feel like it falls into murder mystery more. I feel like slasher, you have to be like kind of shittier. I think these are like really smart. I guess when I think of slashers, I think of like kind of mindless.
I would classify that as slasher for sure.
Okay. All right.
This I would not. Scream 3. I don't know what I would classify as Scream 3.
Oh, dude, it's Scooby-Doo, man. It's Scooby-Doo. It's a rated R Scooby-Doo. That's it. And
I like that take. I like.
It's crazy, dude. It is Scooby-Doo. Like, if you look at it and even listen to the score, it's like there's some scores and moments that are like, and you're like, wait, what? When Dewey's like running around, it's crazy. And by the way,
dude.
Oh, what?
Go on. No, you go first.
I was just gonna say I don't hate this movie. It's gonna sound like I am, just because there's a lot. I think there's a lot of funny shit to like rip on in this, but like I don't hate it.
I think you nailed the summary of it, because there's a lot to pick apart for this movie. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's pretty fun, and I do think like everything that they did in this movie is over the top. From every plot angle.
Absolutely.
Including the killer and his motivation.
Oh my God.
Fucking insanity. And some of the characters that they bring back is insane. But it's fun enough. I've seen way worse sequels.
Yeah. And you know, it's... When you're comparing it to the first one, is anything ever going to match that? Probably not. Because like the first one's so wonderful. But this one is just such a fucking weird direction that they take. And like... You know, you can love this and that's fine, but you can also look at this and be like, this is nothing like the other ones.
Nothing.
And they closed this out. Like, this was dude, everyone was like, this is the end of the road. End of Scream. Let's end this on the right note. And like, this is what they came out with. That's kind of crazy. That's actually like a little upsetting to me. Another question is this the only horror franchise that really brings back such a large group of characters movie after movie after movie?
Put on the spot, I'd have to say yes. I can't, like, you know, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they bring them back like every other movie or something, but not to the extent like this. Like, it's its own universe.
And it's not like a large group of them. It's always just the final girl or the person that survives, right? Like, this is like 4 people that they constantly bring back.
And probably they should have taken a note from those other movies, because like Dewey being back, if Dewey's not the killer in the next one, I don't understand it, because why the fuck is Dewey always around? Working on the Hollywood set for the Stab 3 movie.
At this point, it is so. I was talking to Lexi about this. Lexi's like the biggest Scream fan, by the way. Cult of Craven on Instagram. She like the like, I don't even know how to explain this. Like, this is the most fucked up horror universe, and also it's fine. Like, I love being in this universe. I like it a lot, but also
I agree.
It's so fucked at the same time. I don't know where they're going to go with 5. I have no idea where they're going to go with 5. Because
I agree.
This is so
I don't even know. I've seen 4, and I don't even know where they're going to go with 4, because I only saw it that one time. It's just like, how much more stupid can you make this, and hold it together?
So here's the thing. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna admit that I watched 4 today because I just couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say any more about 4, but 4 I love. I actually really love 4.
Okay.
But that's because it like went to a different place than these movies. But like this universe is just so fucked up that like five looks like they're trying to give it like a grittier, like, I don't want to say Batman, but that's like the only thing I can think where they take the fun out of a comic book and just like make you like be like depressed. It's kind of like that, right? Where like Dewey seems all the characters seem much more grounded based on the trailers I've seen. Like it seems like a much more grounded movie. And that's fine. I'm actually like happy. I hope they give like Dewey some like, I hope they give all these characters and hopefully fucking Maureen some like payback in this movie of being like not just these like absurd campy characters. But it is like at the same time the universe is, there's a Scream like 9 like at this point, and it's like, or not Scream, like a Stab 9. And
I hope Randy's long lost brother shows up with the VHS tape, which is just Maureen's bukkake film.
Holy shit. Dude,
like man. Randy had this saved away.
Fucking Randy's
in case he got murdered one day.
One of my favorite parts of this movie is Randy's sister showing up, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And Dewey's like, "How do you not realize that this is Randy's sister? It looks nothing like Randy."
So fun fact and spoiler to what we're going to talk about. Obviously, most definitely, people were mad about Randy being killed because Wes was getting death threats, which is great because the internet is still like relatively new, right? And
yeah.
Just like emails and the whole concept of being able to post on like celebrities and directly message them. Wes is getting death threats for killing off Randy. So their solution was at first to bring Randy back, saying that he survived.
Which would have been fine.
Fucking fine with that. Like, Dewey has been brutally murdered in 3 films in a row.
Every movie.
And so has Courtney Cox, right? Like, these people should not be walking. We bring him back. So if you were to be like, you know, he survived, he was hospitalized. They were thinking about bringing Lillard back, for fuck's sake.
I know, it's so crazy. And by the way, I'm still fine with.
I would be fine with it too. He bled out. He's been in jail, even though they didn't talk about it in the second one. But whatever. But Wes was getting death threats, so he's going to bring Randy back. But their ultimate solution was to have Randy have a found videotape of Randy leaving a message from the dead, you know, and anticipating that he was going to be killed, which is on point with Randy's character, right?
I'm actually fine with that.
But
I clowned on that in our first episode because I thought it happened in the second movie. I thought Randy died in the first, and then the videotape happens in the second. And I clowned on the idea. It's not that bad, really. In this movie, it's actually kind of the highlight of this movie. I'm going to be honest. I'll be honest.
It was nice to see Randy again because it solidifies the fact that they made a mistake killing Randy.
Yes.
And it was nice to see him again. It was kind of corny to have him like talking with Arquette, like anticipating what Arquette was going to say. He'd be like, shut up. But it was fine. Did you see that they had Jamie Kennedy record 2 hours worth of footage?
Over 2 hours filmed. What could you even say for 2 hours? Joe, we do a podcast. And we do, like, last week's, I think, was like an hour. I think it was almost 2 hours, our episode. And, like, that can be exhausting, right? Like, I can't even imagine sitting, like, what does Randy have to say? Like, he only has the rules.
2 hours.
2 hours. And that goes back to this whole script issue here, which is absolutely crazy. Because, so Kevin Williamson, like, it depends who you talk to, right? And again, in this book, I find out more information. And I just got a text about the book title. It's called It All Began with a Scream. It just came out this year.
Okay.
It's not great, but it's fine. It's got some interviews with people that, like, you have to, like, pick and choose what you listen to. Because, like, I do believe everyone involved in this is lying about what happened. So Williamson claims that he wrote basically a trilogy for this movie, which is obviously not true because if you watch Scream 1, it's over. And Scream 1 is a beginning and ending movie. But he claims he wrote 2 sequels, which he then pitched to them and got bought. Right?
Yeah.
So they bring him in to write this. He can't because he's fucking writing and directing Mrs. Tingle, which he actually wrote years before, and it was like before Scream happened, and they were just like, fuck this movie. But then Scream blew up, so now they're going to make Mrs. Tingle. So instead, he wrote them a 30-page draft outline of this movie, which seems like a lot. Then they bring in Aaron Kruger, who's supposed to take those notes from Williamson and write a script. This dude is only coming off of a movie called Arlington Road, which wasn't like a super critical success, but like it made some money. But this guy goes on to write Reindeer Games, The Ring, Skeleton Key, 3 Transformer movies. He did the new Dumbo, Top Gun. So he's like a pen for hire type of guy, but like also a guy that's like knows what audiences want to see, you know? And he even helped rewrite Scream 4, and I think he's involved in the new Scream 5. So like the guy's not an idiot. And so they bring him in to write it. He throws it all out. Kevin Williamson sues Miramax because he claims that he like owns, like, it was like the most bizarre thing. He claims that, I think he just wanted to get paid for like writing the outline, and I think they denied that, but it's fine. It's fine. So he gets paid anyway. And Williamson said the original script would have seen like a stab fan club of Woodsboro kids. All members of a club, and they would have been involved in all of these killings. And the final twist was, you know, that it was like a cult led by Matt Lillard, who was making the calls from jail.
Okay.
That's pretty tight. I guess they end up using some of those ideas for the TV show, but whatever. But this writing just causes so much issues because they only hire Aaron to write for 2 weeks. They're like, we're going to start shooting in 2 weeks, write the fucking script. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, he even said, like, he's like, I had to research the old movies. I called Kevin to be like, what is up with these characters? Like, can you give me like, cause I have to write for them now. So he writes a script, and then they end up writing it all on the fly, essentially, with Wes writing like a great deal of these characters' dialogue in it, which is insane. And Wes, I guess, I'll save that maybe. I don't know. Well, Wes loves making, according to this book, Wes loved making cheesy comedy shit. So like, and they cite that in 1992, he wrote for this show called Nightmare Cafe that was on ABC. It was like an anthology series. And they were like, Wes, write us like a really good episode. And he was like, no problem. So he wrote an episode called Aliens Ate My Lunch. And it was about aliens that like fucking spit out hairballs. And they never made another episode after that. It got canceled as soon as that episode aired, which I think is like one of the funniest like bits of trivia of all time. And they were like, Wes just loved like cornball shit. Like he just did. Like he fucking loved it. So yeah, so it's a weird take, and they reshot so much of this movie. The opening, which we'll talk about shortly, because it was so fucked up that the way they wrote it. So like, if you decided later you didn't like one scene and you wanted to reshoot it, you ended up having to reshoot like 4 or 5 different other scenes that correlated to that scene. And that's how fucking chaotic this was. And I've never heard of like a movie being that chaotic in my life.
Especially for like a part 3. You think they would just go through the motions at the very least. Just
at this point, like again, and this is what we go back to where like Scream 2, they were like, it was because the script leaked. That's why it was such a mess. Well, hey guys, what's the excuse for 3? Because like that was locked tight. And
well, they tried using that excuse again, be like, we don't want to repeat a part 2, so we're gonna write.
So we'll do it again.
They wrote 4 different endings. So like we can't have it be script. We can't have the script lead. So they wrote like 4 different four different plots. It didn't tell the actors which ones they were going to do.
They said they had to film like every scene like 4 times because they would like put like fucking McDreamy in a sling in one scene and then not in a sling, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is happening?" So it is a wild. It was a wild production, man, and like I don't know. I don't know. It didn't come off great in the movie either. And again,
I mean, the goofball aspect of it is so weird for
over the top.
The universe of Scream, like putting Jay and Silent Bob in it. I know they're on a movie studio, but it still is so stupid.
And apparently this is all as a result of Columbine, supposedly. Like that was their new scapegoat, was Columbine fucked everything up. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain because I remember reading something about what they were planning on doing.
So, I mean, it was
they didn't want to have high school kids being murdered again.
So, yeah, they didn't want to go to Woodsboro High because they didn't want to do school children, which is fine. I get that. But they were also like, they wanted to make zero violence in this movie. And then, like, again, like these stories, they're like, Wes stood up for the movie and was like, absolutely not. Either we make Scream or we make a different movie. That's a fair response. However, like, I don't think this is that far off from Scream where they had to make this much, like, cornball shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It seems like a cop-out a little bit. Like, I don't think this is that far off from Scream. Like, the gore is definitely cut down, for sure. But it's not like...
Yeah, but it's still a lot of stabbing. You know,
there's so much stabbing. Like, it's not like they edited it out completely. Like, and of course, and I've read this literally on every Scream movie we've done so far. Is like, it was like, Wes was so mad with the MPAA. He said he was never going to make a horror movie ever again. Every Scream movie, you could read that in the facts. Wes got so mad that the MPAA wouldn't give him an R rating that he said he'd never make a horror movie ever again. All right, well, Wes is a fucking jerk job. If you're gonna say that about every movie, like, just stop it. Like, just stop it. I mean, I get that he's probably tired of it, but at the same time, like, come on, dude. Like, yeah, that cult storyline also would go to The Following, the TV show that Kevin Williamson would later write.
I've been because it's on Netflix now, so I kind of want to give it a watch.
I've heard it's good, and I've heard it's basically the plot of the original Scream, or not the original Scream, but the original Scream 3. So, and again, this movie suffers heavily from character development that you do not give a fuck about anyone in this movie, except of course our main characters.
The actors within the actors within the movie. What a fucking mouthful to do this. Like put the movie in it. But those actors, like I did not care about. And like our man Dion from the actor's name's Dion, but from Not Another Teen Movie, he's there right off the bat, and he just like fades away, and then like pops back up again. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot he was in this movie. So
and he has
some of the people, they do nothing with. Just let the flounder.
And he has this great moment where he's like, he's got a lot of dialogue, and you're like, okay, these are the characters, and then he disappears, and then he actually becomes his character from Not Another Teen Movie, right? Like,
yes.
Which
the character that he's spoofing, the movie trope that he's spoofing in Not Another Teen Movie is what's happening in this movie,
and very seriously. FYI, it's not to like, it's not like pointing fun at it. It's like they don't realize what they're doing, which is nuts. It's a weird thing with this movie. I don't know. It could have been so good, I feel like, but you know, what can you do?
Part 3s are hard. I mean,
hey, what do you do? But then again, like, this is my problem with Kevin Williamson being like, by the way, I wrote this trilogy in advance. You did not, because like, this makes no sense. Like, just stop saying that. It was filmed in 12 weeks. Nev apparently filmed all of her scenes in 3. I don't know if I buy that though, but that's okay. Because they're like, a lot of the things you read are like, that's why Nev's not in the movie that much. She's not in the beginning of the movie that much, but she's in a fair. She's in the entire rest of the movie.
I did not think that her screen time was, cut short.
down. No, not at all.
If anything, I think she might have had more. Like, it felt like she had more than part 2. Like, part 2, we were following Courtney Cox and Dewey around for most of it.
Yeah. The Cotton Weary filming we'll get to was constantly redone. Wes apparently paid out of pocket to build sets on this, which seems insane with a $40 million budget.
Especially with more money than you've ever had.
Patrick Dempsey was hired the day before shooting began.
Yep.
And you want to talk about a guy with a fucking chewing the fat on these scenes. This guy talks more than anyone in the movie. Fucking poor guy had to learn fucking all the dialogue the day before shooting began. The day before. And you get thrown out there. Like, what are we doing? What is that?
Day before, I had to learn all those lines. He did good. I mean, he was fine. I like Dempsey.
Yeah. And my favorite bit of trivia here, Roman, who's played by Scott Foley, is the director of the movie within the movie. He complains that he had to make a horror film before he was allowed to make a classic love story, which was Wes Craven complaining that he was not allowed to make music of the heart until he made Scream 3. And I think that's the funniest thing I've ever read in my life. Dude, Wes is the ultimate subtweeter, right? Like, the fucking guy that, like, just, instead of, like, confronting, like, executives about these decisions, just puts it in the movie and he's like, I'll show you. Like, I'm going to make...
Passive-aggressive Wes.
Most passive-aggressively. Oh, this guy's going to complain about not getting... It landed with no one except Wes.
Dude, honestly, I love it because now it's immortal. Anytime anybody watches it,
that's true.
It's just a fuck you to whoever told him he couldn't make music of the heart. Which is probably his friends being like, Wes, this is fucking terrible. What are you doing? Nobody's gonna watch this. Make Scream 3 and retire.
Which was his plan, but guess what? He comes back, baby. So that's like kind of the overview of what we have for Scream here, man. Scream 3.
Liv Schreiber, right? He's aged 15 years in the 3-year time. Somehow. Honestly, the first Scream was 97. Most baby-faced, like, adolescent-looking actor. And now he's a grizzled old man. But the actor of Liv is such a hardo because... He kept demanding that they take his shirt off so that he could show off his arms because he's been working out. Did you read that trivia?
I did. Did
you think he looked jacked in this movie?
No. I thought...
Dude, Ray Donovan, he's fucking 60 years old. He looks jacked. What the fuck is he talking about?
This like, I've watched a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I talked about this last week where Lev Schreiber. Where he was like, where Wes Craven was filming that scene and he was like, can you film my dog? And Wes was like, I fucking guess. I don't think based on what I've read about Wes, where everyone's like, Wes is the best. He lets you like, it's a big family. I don't think Wes says no to anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Which
explains a lot. Like, it explains like the Jada Pinkett Smith thing where she was like, can I please do this? And he was like, fucking sure. Like, whatever. And I've heard that he had a muscle, and I forget who it was. I think it was that producer I was talking about earlier. But he had somebody in a position that was like the one that was like, that said no to people because Wes was so like cripplingly shy that he couldn't say no to anyone. So like, you see that in this movie, right? Like, you can tell, you can see it with Leave with the fucking shirtless thing, and you can just see it. Like, people were definitely like, let me say this. And he was like, okay, sure.
I really hope that one of those rewrites, like, is directly because of Cotton Weary. I hope he was supposed to be a main character throughout this whole thing, and finally the writers were like, we can't keep making Cotton take his fucking shirt off. So let's just rewrite this and just kill him in the opening segment. We'll have a good cold open, but this fucking guy's got to get off the set.
I honestly hope so, because there is like this Cotton scene that we open with. There was massive rewrites done to it, to the point where I can't even imagine how much of the budget it cost. Like, I'll talk to you about it in a minute, but like, holy cow. Like, I read about it and I was like, this is like filming a whole other movie twice because of fucking Cotton Weary's character. Like, what are we doing? So do you want to kick off the movie real quick?
Let's get into it.
All right.
It's a good cold open, by the way. I do like it.
Dude, I'm fine with it. But it was like a little bit of like it was a departure from 1 and 2. So 1, you have Drew Barrymore opening it up as a like, boom, this is what's going to happen. Keep you on the edge of your seat. 2, They think they're doing it again with Jada Pinkett Smith. Does not land, I don't think, for anybody. I don't think anybody was like, they killed Jada Pinkett? What? Like, I thought she was going to be the star. Like, no one thought that. So it was a fine cold open, but it wasn't the Drew Barrymore. This one, though, I feel like this is more to like the Scream fans, right? This is like,
you weren't expecting Cotton to go.
No, I mean, you end 2 with Cotton being alive and well, and like you open with Cotton now being a talk show host of the greatest show name ever, 100% Cotton. Fucking A+. So you're like, oh, Cotton's going to be a character in this movie. Like, and I'm down with it, right? Like, I like Cotton Weary. Like, I think it's a good character. Like, it's fine. It's in the universe. So he's now a TV show host. We see him getting an anonymous call from a woman's voice. And he's like, are you 100% Cotton fan? Which I just love using the term 100% Cotton. I think it's fucking amazing. But turns out it's Ghostface. And he wants to know where Sydney lives or else he's going to kill his girlfriend. It gives him the ultimatum. So it's a race against time. Cotton tries to reach her, keeps calling her, but the phone line's cut. We see that. Girlfriend's just walking around naked. A lot of music cues here. And then the girlfriend gets, what is it, a knock on the door where she's like, okay, Cotton, I know you don't, or like, I don't like the stab games, right? Like, she thinks Cotton's being like creepy, right? I think he's knocking on the door, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, Cotton, you know I don't like those stab games. Bump, bump, bump. Then she hears Cotton's voice. Okay.
Which will come into play.
Oh, the worst, right? Like, is that not the worst part of this? Like, what?
Dude, I hate it.
Why is that dude? I don't think that technology exists today. It's 2021. I couldn't do that. Are you fucking kidding me?
Dude, that pissed me off. And also when Cotton gets the call from Ghostface, because it starts off as a woman.
Right.
It's like,
yes.
hey,
It's an anonymous woman's voice.
But then it's Ghostface because it switches because he has this tool that mimics people's voices. But Cotton Weary's also using the biggest car phone that was like outdated in 1991, and he gets the other call from Ghostface on his cell phone. So we know that technology exists in this universe, and that Cotton has access to it. But he still has that huge ass car phone.
It's so bizarre. So we hear Cotton's voice, but it's not Cotton. It's Ghostface just doing an impression. We also in this moment we see a commercial for Cotton's show, which is the most insane concept for a TV show I've ever heard. Because he's like, we bring victims face to face with the criminals that attack them. That is the most psychotic thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, and it parallels his story because that's all he wanted to do with Sydney.
Yeah, exactly.
But his concept's like, we take these people who were caught having road rage, and then we make them confront the people that were doing it to.
We put them face to face. What a nightmare. Well, Cotton comes home, and a cool confrontation between Cotton and his girlfriend because of this voice changing, where Cotton's girlfriend's like, you fucking are nuts. You're trying to kill me. Because she's already encountered Ghostface, who is using Cotton's voice. This ultimately ends, though, with her being stabbed by the real Ghostface. And Cotton goes down, man. Cotton gets stabbed.
Yes.
Fucking murdered. Solid opening, right?
Cue the Creed. Cue the Creed song.
Cue the Creed. Now, the crazy thing about this is this was... they reshot so much... Dude. So they shot Cotton driving on... Hollywood Boulevard for his scene. Okay. Done.
Yeah.
Filmed. Then they film him in the apartment, and his girlfriend's dead when he shows up. And then he beats the shit out of Ghostface, and I think survives.
Okay, so then my theory has some weight.
Your theory does have some weight now that I think about it, because I'm saying that because he escapes or almost escapes or escapes out of a skylight. After he manhandles Ghostface, which is a weird way to write the opening, but that's fine. So then they review this, and then they're like, okay, that's not going to happen. You need to not film. You need to refilm that Cotton Weary thing. And then they're like, oh, fuck, okay. So they refilm it, but then they don't have access to the apartment that they shot it in anymore. So they have to build the apartment from scratch as a set. And then they refilm the shot that is in the movie where he gets his ass beat and that she's alive. Then they realize, oh, fuck, this changes the phone call with Ghostface that he had. So now we have to refilm the car scene, and we can't shut down Hollywood Boulevard again. So now we have to film him doing this somewhere else, and it's all continuity shit at this point. So they're just refilming all this shit to make the continuity work, and like mixing edits and mixing cuts to try and make this. Joe, have you ever heard of spending that much money on how long was this? Like 10 minutes max? A 10-minute scene that they had to reshoot 18 times because they didn't like the way it ended. That's a bad sign for a movie. That is just, no movie should be made like that.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. Especially Scream 3, you know?
And because, again, the script wasn't leaked. It wasn't like, oh, they figured it out, let's change this. It was like, I don't really like it. I don't really like that. Let's just fucking change. We don't like it because we wrote it the day of and then showed it to people. Yeah. And they were like, this is dog shit. And everyone was like, oh yeah, totally. Good thing we filmed this.
I love hearing continuity errors or things that they have to fix. Have you heard the one about the James Bond movie, the Casino Royale one?
No, it sounds familiar, so I think I might.
It's so off topic, and I'll sum it up because I honestly just want to share it with you. Fuck, I spilled my drink everywhere. Fuck, now my ass is all wet. Hold on a second. God. James Bond, they had a quick break in shooting, and James, the assistant director, were walking down the street, and there's a flea market, and Daniel Craig was like, holy shit, look at these sweet ass gloves, I gotta have them. So he bought these gloves and then wore them, and then they shot the scene. It was the poker scene that he was doing, and he refused to take the gloves off because they were so comfy, and everyone was just like, all right, whatever. And then they filmed it, and they're like, wait, we filmed the first half of the poker scene, and he wasn't wearing gloves, and he has these big stupid gloves on. So they had to go back, and he was already booked for another movie, and they didn't realize it till after, so they had to go back and digitally remove the gloves from his hand, and it cost him millions of dollars to do that. to make his hands look normal and not make it look like shit.
It's so weird. Hollywood is just the weirdest shit in the world. It's the craziest stuff, and we talk about it a lot, you and I, personally, when we talk about Justice League, where they fucking, what's his name? Henry Cavill couldn't shave his fucking mustache. You fucking kidding me? Shave the fucking mustache. He did that was not critical to the Mission Impossible movie that no one saw his character.
Shut. DC should have bought out the studio that was making Mission Impossible 5 and just bankrupted them. Go fuck yourself. That's what I would do if I had DC money. I would buy off everybody's salary and just make sure they never worked again. You can't make this guy show up in one scene without a fucking mustache. He doesn't need it.
And
he's Superman. He's fucking Superman.
I'm pretty sure they just started filming. So if anything, put a fake mustache on him. Yeah. Don't digitally edit a mustache off and give him that weird fucking lip. It was the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life. Jesus Christ. Or, solid point, Zack Snyder cut maybe should have had a mustachioed Superman. That would have been great if they just put a mustache on Superman and just pretended not like, and when people asked about it, they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh boy. So Cotton's dead, right? So
He's dead.
That's a big opening for Scream fans, not necessarily like the industry, right? Like it doesn't like set the world on fire. But like as a Scream fan, everyone's like, "Oh fuck, that's crazy." Like Cotton was a character, you know?
Yeah.
He survived. He was a survivor that they killed. So down goes Cotton. Yeah. We meet Sydney, who's living that Laurie Strode life, baby. Well, I should say Laurie Strode in 2018 life. With a wooden fence that is hoppable, but even by me, a normal human being. But it's got a digital lock on it. So if anyone tries to open that fence, they're fucked. But I could probably clear it with like a running jump. But and she's working as a crisis counselor now.
Yeah,
from her home. She's kind of like isolated, right? She's isolated herself from the world, but also still living in the house that the murders happened, which not a great idea. And then
that's my biggest complaint with like all these characters is that they're so meta and like they're always referencing how stupid, which I guess is the point. It comes full circle, but they're always referencing how stupid characters in horror movies are. But like even in this movie, this is the third time this shit is happening to you, and you're going to a birthday party. Like, no, you're not going to a fucking birthday party.
Yeah.
After your friends get murdered for the third time.
In this movie, based on the Stab movie that we're seeing, where they're shooting in Sydney's house, right? Like a replica of Sydney's house. This is the first time that I realized that Maureen was murdered in that house.
Right.
Did you pick that up?
Yes.
That's insane. That's insane. And that father, Sydney's father, should go to jail for keeping a daughter in the house where the mother was murdered. Are you fucking... What are we talking about? What the fuck is happening? Living in that house? That's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, they should have definitely relocated.
What the fuck?
I think we said it in the last episode. Like, they should have moved across the country. Like, do something.
I know.
Doing with your life.
Don't worry. Dewey will find you. Dewey just flying out to where.
What's more unbelievable? Dewey being on the set of that movie, or Ghostface finding Sydney's number through like a national helpline? Like, there's billions of, like, you can't get a direct line that goes into, you know, a call center and it gets transferred to the next available caller. Like, right?
No, I think that was like what we were supposed to think. But if you look, I think he called her house number. However, if he had her house number, which was probably the same house number she's always had, then it's probably the same house that she's always had. Like, why would Ghostface not start at the house she grew up in, which she's still living in?
That actually might be more stupid than the scenario I was pitching, because I thought it was the helpline that he called, and I didn't understand how he got through.
No, yeah.
As we find out later on, he's from the area. Like, he's very much around the area. Like,
and he's stalking her. He's literally filming her constantly. He's somehow lost her. What the fuck are we talking about? She's in the same house. What?
She has made it very easy for you.
What the fuck is happening? Yeah, no, I think there is a nod there where she looks down at the phone. It's really quick, and it shows that he's on the home line. Not like,
okay.
It's like, it's really brief. And I, quite honestly, Joe, that might even be, I might have misread that, but that's how I took it. So It's very possible he called the helpline also. And maybe probably somebody that was like, Wes has lost his mind, probably filmed just a shot of the phone with that light lit up and was like, just film this and add it to the movie later. So that's Sydney. She's living her life supposedly out in the sticks, but not really. We cue Gail. Now we meet Gail Weathers, who's now doing speaking engagements.
Yes.
Which, like, it's weird because they're like, it's so weird how the way they try to portray Gale in this. And by the way, all right, wait, let's go in order here. The kids, there's like a kid in the class that's like, was it worth it being as cutthroat as you are? It's like, dude, yeah, it is, because she's actually speaking to your fucking class. Fucking idiot.
She would have been killed.
Fucking bozo. Yeah, it made her a fucking career. Like, I don't know. And really, like, Gale's not that bad of a person, because she's actually, like, helped in every movie so far, like, subdue the killer.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if she wants to fucking benefit off that, good for her. Like, what's the problem with that? So that we meet Detective Kincaid, who's played by that guy McDreamy. I don't know his real name. Dylan is his name. No, that's not Dylan McDermott. What's his?
Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey. That's a name. Mark Kincaid is the detective, and he's the first one to break to Gale that Cotton is dead. We also learn that Cotton has filmed a cameo for Stab 3. So they're kind of connecting these things and thinking maybe it's another copycat killer.
Yes. We would be remiss to not mention, it's an internet meme, Courtney Cox's hair.
Oh,
worse than the meme makes it, to be perfectly honest with you.
Joe.
And all the hair of everyone in this movie is fucking atrocious.
Patrick Dempsey has like Knight Rider fucking 70s hair. It's crazy. It's huge.
He does. His I'm fine with.
I mean, it looks great. It's a giant head of hair. God bless him.
It's very fluffy.
It's huge. But no, dude, those bangs are out of control. And it's crazy because I read that David Arquette was like, I take the blame for that because I told her she should get like Betty Page bangs. David, this is not your fault. Like,
yeah.
Like if you tell a fucking hairdresser to give somebody Betty Page bangs, it's a very clear picture, and that is not what happened. Like, it looks like a fucking rat shooter fucking the front of her hair.
Blind giant.
I've never seen anything like that in my life. Like, that's not even those aren't even bangs. And
it's honestly impressive to get him like that choppy.
Dude, you and I could cut. I've never cut
bangs in my life. But yeah, I agree. I think I could pull it off better. It wouldn't be worse. I can tell you that much.
It would not be worse. I don't even think it would be that level. It would be somewhat better no matter what. But like, wow, how does that happen? And she's going to professional hairdressers. Like, what is that? And why don't they give her...
She's getting $1 million an episode on Scream. Not Scream, on Friends. Like, how does somebody from Friends... We just had we just talked about Mission Impossible stepping in for the guy playing Superman. It'd be like, absolutely fucking not. Like, he's not doing this. Why wouldn't Friends be like, listen, like, this is our like workhorse. Like, this is our money. You can't fucking do this. And I can't make her have this haircut.
I don't remember her ever having having bangs on Friends. So I think Friends was just smart enough to be like, we're giving her extensions on that hair and combing it over. But like, why wouldn't Wes do that? Why was Wes like, this is great. She looks like a human being, because she does not look like a human being at all. Like, it's actually terrifying. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Has your daughter tried to cut her hair yet?
No, she hasn't.
Okay, because there's like a thing. Like I grew up with sisters, and I know women. Obviously, I know women. But it's like a common thing where kids like. I've really only heard it with like females, like girl children. I don't know how to say that. Female children,
girls,
girls, yeah. Where they end up trying to like cut their own bangs like at a very early age. Like they think it's like they just want to do it and they go for it. And like I've even seen videos online of like girls that do it and then like immediately look in the mirror and start screaming because it's like it's not as easy as it seems, I guess. But like
Shay has the same, like it's bizarre. We have the exact same hair, so she doesn't have like just like afros out, It's just
yeah.
the bang.
So, like, yeah, but, like, I guess that's the thing. But that's what Gail's hair reminds me of. It looks like a child that tried to cut their own hair.
Yeah, I mean...
And fucked up. I can't imagine an adult person, like, doing that and being like, how do you like this? Oh, man. Gail also finds out about Cotton's death, and she's floored, which is basically her main reaction in all of these movies. She's just like, oh, God. Whatever. Meanwhile, Gail sneaks into the set of the new Stab movie, which this movie lacks where 2. I think what 2 has above this one is at least 2 got like a bunch of like famous actors to like play the parts of the movie within the movie, which was fun, right? This is just Jenny McCarthy and a bunch of like nobody's really, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah, Scott Foley. This is his first role. He's the director.
Yeah, Scott Foley.
Parker Posey's a pretty big name.
Parker Posey is insane, by the way. I don't think she's acting in this movie. I think she's just being a person. I watched an interview with Scott Foley who was like, yeah, Parker Posey used to take me and be like, come with me, and then would lead me to a hill where she would read me poetry. And I was like, that is the most accurate thing I've ever heard in my life. She's nuts in this movie. And she is a ham. Like, she is a fucking ham and a half in this movie.
She is. She's really she's really dialing it up. It's weird because like I think Parker Posey is a good actress, but like in this movie she's not. Like, she's a bad actress, but I think she's doing it on purpose. It's like very confusing to watch.
Oh yeah. That's a great point. It's super confusing to watch. Like, I couldn't tell whether she was trying to be or not. My assumption was I felt like the studio came to her and was like, you're the comic relief. Because again, we go back to this Columbine thing where they wanted to like cut the movie down. They wanted to amplify the laughs. Like, they wanted to make it more of a comedy, which is bizarre.
Yeah. Yes.
So I feel like at some point, yeah, I just feel like some point somebody got into Parker Posey and was like, hey, like, you're the comic relief. Like, go nuts. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Poor Wes had to deal with that and was like, okay, good shot, I guess. Why is Parker running like a lunatic in that scene? I don't know, but fuck it. Cut. This is the last movie I ever want to do in my life. So yeah, so we got Parker. But really, like, just not that star power or anything where you're like, oh, that's so cool. You know what I mean? Like, Jenny McCarthy is just Jenny McCarthy. Like, that's in her wheelhouse, I'll be honest. Like, like, this character is not out of, you know what I mean? Like, seeing Luke Wilson in Stab was like, oh, fuck, that's funny. Like, that's crazy, right? Like,
yes. Like,
that's nuts. Like, he's a real actor. Like, seeing Jenny McCarthy is like, that, the girl from Singled Out, yeah, that adds up that she's a fucking...
Agreed. I agree.
So yeah, so we meet them. It's nothing crazy though. And what was the nod? A nod to Randy dying. I wrote a note to a nod to Randy dying. I forget what that was. Oh, the guy that plays like new Randy, the guy from Not Another Teen Movie. Who's like, my character fucking died and then they just wrote me in to like be him again because everyone missed him, which was cool. I liked that.
Yeah, I like that.
Meanwhile, Dewey shows up because Gail sneaks in. She's like trying to film the set, trying to figure out what's going on. And then Dewey, who by the way, from Ohio. Dewey, by way of Ohio, he says, surprise, surprise, someone dies and Gail comes running.
Dude, I love 2 movies in a row. We have left off the previous one with them being madly in love.
Thank you.
And then the next one starts with them being like, you fucking piece of shit. The fuck are you doing here?
Joe, it's actually crazy. I thought I was losing my mind. And this one, because we did this exact dance in 2.
Part 2, I'm fine with. Like, the events of the first one
fine.
ends. They're in love, but then Gail writes that book and, like, whatever. They're not in love, but, like, you know,
there's a connection.
Romantically interested. Yeah. Then she writes the book and he's mad. But then by the end of the events, like, they have been through hell and back together. Like, and they're very clearly in love at the end of Part 2.
Yeah.
And only 2 years have passed since the end of Part 2. So this one, they're like, I thought I'd never see you. Why would you think that? Like,
fucking stupid bitch. It's crazy. It's actually crazy to do this to this movie. Dude, the end of 2 is Gail throwing her career away to ride with Dewey to the hospital. Like, and it's just so established that, like, her career is her fucking lifeblood. Like,
yeah, that's her character's, like, drive.
Right. And, like, to throw it all away for Dewey, great. And then we start this one off with Dewey being like, well, here comes that bitch. That dirty bitch. And you're like, wait, excuse me? What? Also, Dewey's hand works fine again, but he still has the limp.
Yes.
Fun fact, Part 4, it's all gone. Everything's gone. So Dewey's just getting better and better each movie. But yeah, he says, surprise, surprise, someone dies and Gail comes running, which is weird because that is exactly what Dewey did in Ohio. If you remember, somebody died in Ohio and Dewey just shows up and is like, I took the first plane. I'm so sorry I'm late. What? Excuse, why? What, Dewey, why are you here? Dewey is just as bad as Gail, except he shows up to be like, I'm going to solve a crime, even though I'm not a good police officer here.
Which, by the way, he's doing again in this one.
Again.
Patrick Warburton. Thank God Patrick Warburton's like, listen up, buddy. Like,
shut the fuck up.
Like, just stay the fuck away from me.
Dude, that was my favorite bit because Patrick Warburton is 100% right in that moment. He's like, everyone you know that you protect is dead. I protect celebrities and they're all alive. That was like the best part. Yeah, Dewey is something else in this movie. And like, boy, like, it's just so Scooby-Doo, right? Like, he's not a cop, but like this whole gang gets back together to solve a crime that none of them are responsible for solving.
I like your analogy of Scooby-Doo because even like the reveal at the end is definitely just like pulling the mask off the guy and being like, whoa?
You kids, if it wasn't for you kids, I'd have made it through. Like,
which we've already talked about. This guy had the means to do that his entire life, and especially the last 3 years.
This movie ends in like a giant haunted mansion with escape routes, and like, like, dude, they do like basically like the door gag. Like, no, I'm gonna run through this door, and oh god, I'm coming out the other door. Like, it's so close to a Scooby-Doo movie. It's actually great. There was for sure. Wes sat down in a meeting, and at some point, somebody was like, "This is gonna be a Scooby-Doo movie because of Columbine," and. You know, I know everyone wants to protect Wes, and Wes is great, but at some point, Wes was like, got it. For sure. I'm with you. Because that's the movie we ended up with. So, for sure. Including, right now, Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Who show up. And, by the way, Wes Craven is in that scene, because this guy, it's so bizarre that he's like, film me being like an old guy in the background. What? He's like, I just imagine him being like, wouldn't that be so funny? And everyone's like, yeah, I guess. He's like, all right, film it.
Having Jay and Silent Bob playing themselves and making passes at the actresses. Or no, was it Gail?
Gail. It was Gail. Yeah.
It was Gail. Yeah. Oh yeah, he calls her Connie Chung.
Yeah, which is fucking insane. I mean, the most insane fucking joke I've ever heard in my life.
Unbelievable.
Well, meanwhile, back at Sydney's house, she goes to bed and has a dream of her dead mom, who is in a nightgown outside her window, who says everything she touches dies just like her, and then turns into Ghostface. But it's all a dream.
It's all a dream, but it just felt out of place for a Scream movie.
Can you guess who demanded that be in the movie?
Was it Wes?
It was Wes. That is a Wes. That was a Wes scene. Wes was like, that has to be in the movie. And everyone was like, are you sure? Because that does not fit anything else about this movie. And he was like, yeah, of course. This for sure has to be filmed. Which is bizarre, right? Like, the more you read about Wes, the more you're like, is this guy... And I think it's a balance, right? Like, I don't think... I'm not going to shit on Wes. I actually think Wes is a genius. But I think he's just, like, easily influenced by outside sources. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
I think he's, like, super passive. And I think... Like I've said, like, I've watched behind the scenes shit, and people just, like, pitch shit to him, and he's like, yeah, all right. And it's like, you know, me and Paul have watched fucking movies or like behind the scenes of, what's his name? Fucking the German guy. The guy ate his shoe.
Oh, Herzog.
Herzog, right? Like, we've watched behind the scenes shit of Herzog and the other director, I forget his name, but like that, like they're combined, like they're like two of the same people. And like those guys, could you imagine being like, could you film this scene with my dog? They'd be like, get the fuck away from me. I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm going to hit you in the head with a
fist fight you. Yeah.
Like, they would be like, you will never work again in this fucking industry. Like, are you fucking, why would you ever ask me that? Like, I'm filming something. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And Wes is just like, yeah, sure. Like, let's waste film and everyone's time filming your dog again in this mindless scene that does not need to be reshot. It's just like, you could tell, like, this guy's like, I think he's just easily influenced. I think he's like a good dude. I think he's like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Anyway. Jenny McCarthy shows up again. So Jenny McCarthy gets a call from Roman saying he wants to run lines to meet her at the office. So she does. Turns out it's Ghostface, baby. Ghostface.
Using his nifty voice mimicker machine.
Which is fucking ridiculous, by the way. I mean, in this scene, whatever. It's fine. But in every other scene, it's insane. She decides to hide in a room with 200 Ghostface costumes, which he's in there. And she's trying to kill him with prop weapons, which is...
I didn't hate that. And I actually liked her picking up a knife and having it be like wobbly.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking great, dude. You're on a movie set. Should have been on the Rust movie set, am I right?
Jesus.
Wish she had a loaded
I really liked her line about the shower scene. She's like, that's been done before. She says she names Vertigo instead of Psycho.
I liked that. She was fine in this movie. Like, she really was. Like, the only thing that was weird was she was like, I'm a 35-year-old woman playing a 21-year-old. But like, I'm pretty sure that's every woman in Hollywood's dream. Like, to be cast as a 21-year-old in your 30s, like, you've got a lifespan, baby. That's a lifeline. Dude, remember Singled Out and her, like, was she not like the babe?
She was great.
The 90s babe, the go-to 90s babe.
She was.
She was something else. Good for her. Anyway, have we talked about Rock and Jock? We don't need to talk about Rock and Jock right now. We're already like over an hour right now on this episode. Remind me to talk about Rock and Jock sometime. Anyway, Ghostface kills her. She's dead. Dewey and Gale piece together that they're being killed in the order of the movie. You know, Scream 2, they were being killed by their name. Their name are related. This franchise is so stupid. in two, they were being killed if their name related to the names in the killings. In this one, they're being killed in the order of the movie.
Yes, which I know we're going to get to this. Actually, can I just say it right now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, fuck it.
Ghostface is stalking the cast, and they're all together.
Right.
And instead of, fleeing like normal people would do, they're reading the script as they're being like hunted down. And one guy is like, wait a second, I have to go back in and see how this ends. Goes back in to read a script, which is probably my favorite kill in the movie.
That is the craziest thing that has ever happened in a Scream movie. I'm so excited to talk about that. That is the dumbest, weirdest thing that has ever happened. So, yeah. So, like Joe said.
Also, I'm sorry. Because why would that not tip off who the killer was at that very point in time? Because who would have the access,
right, to the script,
to that script like that? Because none of those actors know. And they're like, I got to see what happens right now. They have the official script in their hand, and he's like, oh, God, my character gets blown up by gas.
Dude, wait. All right. Wait. That is the craziest part, right? Because, like, they're, like, kind of referencing the Scream 2 leaks where they're like, this is... Because they realize... Okay, let's talk about this. So Dewey and Gale figure out that they're being killed in the order of the movie. And immediately somebody is like, hey... There's 8 different scripts, so it could be in any of these orders, which is like a little callback to the Scream leaks, right? So again, like to your point, in that moment, in that kill, then you for sure know somebody's in on it because they're like, we don't know which cut of the script it is, and it's this cut that is being faxed over to them while they're waiting to die. So, Roman, the director, gets picked up because they think he was the one that called Jenny McCarthy, but he didn't. It was a cloned cell phone, right?
Yep.
Dude, I'm so sorry. I'm like hiccuping and burping into the microphone like constantly. I hope you all... I don't know what this is. Like, I'm drinking wine. Like, it's not carbonated. Anyway. Nev takes a call on her helpline, and it's a woman admitting she killed someone. And then she uses a fake name. She's not Sydney on the helpline. She's Laura. And the voice on the call goes, "It's Mother Laura. Turn on the news." And she turns
Wait, so what is the helpline?
Oh, fuck.
Right?
I guess.
I mean, it's fucking irrelevant.
Regardless, this is fucking insane because either you know where she lives or you don't. Either side of this is insane. Because she gets the call for the first time and it's the killer, but like this is the first time. This is the first time Sydney gets a call from the killer and nothing happens after, right? Usually when the killer is like efficient, right? So when he calls you, he's going to kill you. Right. There's not really many moments in the movie, if any, that I can think of, where he calls and then is like, all right, talk to you later. Like, see you later. Like, he usually is there with you when he calls you. And for this one, he does not. And that's unusual for this franchise. Like, Sydney hangs up and that's that. End of story. So, through the most insane turn of events, we learn that Maureen Prescott left Woodsboro 2 years before because the killer is leaving photos of Maureen Prescott from a period that no one can recognize. And this is based on Dewey and Gale looking at the picture being like, I don't remember these photos, as if they have every photo of Maureen Prescott memorized to memory, which, hey, Gale wrote the book. Maybe she does, you know? But it's fine.
She doesn't.
But also we learned that Maureen left Woodsboro for 2 years, which is also crazy because that means whatever. We'll talk about that at the end. But it only took 2 years for all of these events to take place. But she was on a Hollywood movie lot that they're on, but they can't figure out what.
She was the throat goat. The old Nancy Reagan.
I hope she was fucking her and Nancy Reagan balling out, baby. It was either Maureen Prescott or Nancy Reagan. You got them on your movie set. You were good to go.
May they both rest in peace.
R.I.P. Anyway, Patrick Warburton's up next. He's the security guard. Who also, he thinks he's talking to Dewey, but it's actually the killer. And by the way, when he thinks he's talking to Dewey, he's like, hey, remember when your piece of shit sister got killed? Which, like, what the fuck? So aggressive with Dewey. Like, it's so crazy.
That's honestly almost not an exaggeration of what he actually said.
No, it's like so
fucking
close.
worthless loser sister got killed.
Yeah. It's so crazy. But it wasn't Dewey that he was talking to. It was the killer who's cloning every voice ever known to man. It's insane. Dewey and the gang find Patrick Warburton dead, and they are trapped in the house.
Sean, they don't find him dead. Patrick Warburton walks like a mile to show them that he's been stabbed. That's
fair enough. You're correct.
It's fucking ridiculous. Runs a marathon and then stands in front of an open door that they all happen to be in and finally collapses and dies.
You're right, because Patrick died in a trailer that Dewey was in on set, and they are on a movie. They're in a house up in the hills offset. Oh boy. So they all barricade themselves in the house, and then this results in the kill that me and Joe were just talking about. Probably the most insane in the Scream franchise, which is they're reading the script and they're like, who dies next? And then, like, as you said, the guy that plays Dewey is like, I gotta figure out who dies next. So he runs into the house, which now has no power. I don't know why. And he's like, I have to, instead of just going outside, that is very well lit, by the way. It's so well lit outside. It's so bright outside. He instead lights a lighter in the house, which I guess Ghostface was hoping for, because the script reads. Great point. Because I didn't even think of that. All I thought was how stupid it was that this happened. But I didn't think about how Ghostface would have to hope that this guy stays in the house to read the script, or re-enters the house by candlelight.
And then, yeah, fucking reads it by candlelight. That's so stupid.
because he goes in and lights the lighter, and it says the killer will grant mercy to, because that's like what they had been reading. The killer will grant whoever smells the gas. And everyone's like, run! And the entire house explodes. Not just a room. The entire house fucking blows up. Honestly, where we talked about the money going, this was it. They blew up a house, Joe. Like, on the Hollywood Hills. You kidding me? Yeah, so the whole house explodes. The gang rolls down a hill. They're all cut up. They're all fucked up. Dewey sees Ghostface, though, down at the bottom of the hill, which is weird, and shoots the shit out of Ghostface. Like, fucking shoots Ghostface like 6 times. But nothing happens. And they find a picture of Maureen again, and this time it says, I killed her. Okay.
Yes.
Back at the police station, they're there, and fucking McDreamy is like, where's Nev? Like, I know you know where she is. Because Dewey's, like, kind of hiding her, right? Like, it turns out Dewey had been, like, go into hiding, don't talk to anyone.
Right.
But Dewey finds her in the lobby and does, like, the craziest Dewey double take of all time. Like, an actual cartoon. Like, I make that joke all the time with the, what? But that is actually what Dewey does, and it's awesome. And then they catch Nev up on the plot. And then we meet Randy's sister.
Yeah.
They go
quirky oddball.
Because now
why are all these people showing up here?
Joe, it's because it's a fucking Scooby-Doo. Because now we've got the whole gang together. Now it's the whole Scooby-Doo gang, and they're like, let's solve this mystery. And the first place they go to look is a trailer, which is one of the actors' trailers. And fucking Randy's sister's like, it's me. And you're like, why are you in that trailer? And the cops draw guns on her, and she's like, don't shoot, I'm 17. As if that fucking matters. Like, why are you there? What are you doing? And Dewey's like, how do you not know that's Randy's sister? Look at her. And it like cuts to her and looks nothing like Randy.
Couldn't look less like Jamie Kennedy.
But she gives them Randy's videotape. Again, not as bad as I remember, but Randy discussing losing his virginity in front of his sister, who's like, I want to fucking kill myself.
Sean, I thought that too, because she doesn't like say anything, right? It just shows her face. And, like, I know they're not another actress, but still it's so like awkward to hear that.
Dude, her face is like, I don't want to be here. Like, why am I listening? Because Randy's like, listen, just because I lost it to that girl in the porno section. Poor sister's like, Probably should have viewed this in advance.
Could you imagine finding a video like that of a loved one? Like, even if they were murdered and they were telling you the rules and the rules of a horror movie, I would burn that tape and be like, nobody can ever fucking come across it.
Of course you would. Or imagine viewing it as a loved one and he says nothing to you and your family that he loves. And he's like,
he's nothing about his sister. Just be like, if this goes to a part 3.
If I die, I'm making this movie for my 3 friends.
who they're not even Dewey's, they're not even friends. Like, Dewey is the older brother coming.
It's the
That's real funny. It says nothing about his mom and dad or sister.
I love you guys. I'm sorry that I died. I'm sorry that I got caught up in this. Nope. It's like, my roommate's annoying me. Listen, Dewey, listen. Turn up the volume. Quit making fun of me. I lost my virginity. Oh my God.
Dude, and in it, part of his rules, which Sydney, we've said it in the last one, Sydney has gone through so much. Like, she must have the worst PTSD of all time.
She's also
and
murdered
Jamie,
like 7 people.
yes, she has. She's has so much blood on her hands. Justifiable homicide, but it's got to weigh on your psyche at some point.
For sure, dude.
And then to find a video of your dead friend, which would be, you know, startling, like jarring enough. Like, imagine finding a video of one of our friends that were deceased and like seeing that he left us a message, even if it was just like a nice happy message. I would be like, you know, jarred.
You do chill. Yeah, you chill to the bone.
But Randy looks at the camera and goes, in a part 3, the main character can die. That means you, Sid. I'm like, it's the least reassuring, like, fucking nightmare I've ever heard.
Also, his rules. Let's get into the rules. The killer is superhuman, which is insane in a movie that is grounded in reality. Also, Dewey starts writing that down. It cuts to Dewey, who's writing that note down. Killer superhuman. Okay, got it. Number 2 is any character can die, including the main character. That means you, Sydney. Cut to Sydney's face, who's like, oh, cool. I just got here. And number 3, the past can come back to get you. So.
Yes.
Cool.
And to part 1, superhuman, he suggests that to defeat them, you have to cryogenically freeze them.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Randy. And Scooby-Doo's in full force now. We get Gale and Gale. Gale played by Cox and Gale played by Parker Posey, who are working together now to investigate the archive where Carrie Fisher, which we talked about, is bitching about losing her Star Wars role to someone who blew George Lucas, who again is probably super thrilled about that reference in a movie forever enshrined in movie history so his family can see it. Fun fact, no one blew George Lucas. Look at that fucking guy. My favorite George Lucas story is the one of him inviting fucking oh my God, David Lynch to direct like one of the original trilogies. And David Lynch claimed he got a migraine from listening to all the fake names and words. So he just left. But like, even that was like what would happen if anyone tried to like fuck George Lucas for like a role. Like, George Lucas was trying to impress David Lynch and he got a fucking migraine and was like, I'm fucking done. I'm out of here.
That's honestly so funny.
That's like the
make
funny,
that claim.
That's my favorite story. He claimed like dude,
because I mean, look at the guy's talk. David Lynch is the most migraine-inducing human being I've seen in my life.
Right. For sure. And he goes in and George Lucas is just talking. Dude, the interview with David Lynch is the funniest thing. He's like, he's talking about Wookiees and like he names like 3 other like Star Wars words that aren't real words. And he's like, I have no idea what he's talking about. And my migraine kept getting worse and worse and worse. And he's like, I had to call a friend to come drive me home.
We're talking about a guy that wrote a role for himself in his own TV show where his character just screamed the whole time for no fucking reason.
His character's deaf.
Deaf and just yelling.
Oh my god, I love that story. Anyway, we learned that Maureen was an actress named Rina Reynolds, who starred in 3 horror movies: The Space Psycho, The Amazombies, and The Creature from the San Andreas Fault. All produced and directed by John Milton. And if you don't know who John Milton was, neither did I, but it turns out it's Lance Henriksen, who is in charge of the Stab movies.
Yes. Sorry, taking a drink.
What a reveal. What a reveal. We get a bunch of a bunch of red herrings here. We like the weird girl Angelina, who I thought was a great red herring. I actually thought she would have been a great killer, which I guess they had they had considered her to be one of the killers. I thought that would have been great. She's kind of like, supposedly she had won a contest to be in Scream to play Sydney's part, but then later she reveals that she blew John Milton to get the part, which not really funny, but it's like screamed at the end. She's like, why did I blow him? And then she gets killed. So I don't know. Sydney, though, is walking around the set. And now this is what Wes paid for this set to get made out of his pocket, supposedly. Like, they didn't, Joe, this is like a critical scene in the movie, right? Like them walking around the fake sets, right?
Yes.
That was not in the script. And Wes was like, I want to do that. So they built it, and then Wes afterwards wrote it into the script, which seems crazy to do on the fly.
Agreed.
That seems like, I wouldn't even know where to start. But anyway, Sydney is walking through basically her own old house, realizes, she's having like flashbacks, and then ultimately Ghostface shows up and they get into a brawl. They fall out a window together. It's your staple Sydney Ghostface chase, right?
Correct. And
just when she thinks there's nothing she can do, she hears her mother talking. And a fucking body bag stands up from her mother's murder scene in Stab 3 for some reason. And that makes her go nuts. The bag tries to hold her. She jumps out the window, and ultimately Dewey and the gang show up to put a stop to that. But they don't find anyone, of course. No one's there.
Of course.
So we go to John Milton's house, where we learn that he's holding a Weinstein fucking parties for people to get roles by having sex with executives.
Yes.
But he takes no part in that. Supposedly, I guess. I don't know. Also, there's a diving board outside of his window in this scene, and it goes to nowhere. There goes to nowhere. Check that scene out if you'd like. There is a diving board outside of his window. You can see water, but it's like 3 miles away from his window. So I don't know what the diving board's for.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And then wait, who says who's the, oh, it's fucking, because they are really pushing for Dempsey to be the red herring, right?
Yeah, because even at the finale, like when he shows up, he has his gun drawn on Sydney.
Which, by the way, is the funniest. The background of that is like the funniest thing I've ever heard. But Patrick Dempsey is like so over the top, like trying to be the killer, which I actually fell for. I was actually like, he's going to be the killer. Like an idiot. But like in this moment, like Sydney's like feeling him out in his office and is like kind of like, are you the killer? Like you could tell she's like thinking he is. And she's like, what's your favorite scary movie? And he leans in and goes, my life. Which like
he's been hanging out with my dad.
No, knowing that he's not the killer, he should probably go to therapy. Well, we go to Milton's house, the producer, for Roman's birthday, the director. It's a birthday party. And this is really the finale of the movie, and it'll last a long time. They really wanted to bring that back. That element back. The whole like scene 118 thing back. Because we end basically at this house, right? Yeah. Oh my God, this takes forever. Okay.
Yeah, because everyone's dying, and then a fucking dipshit Scott Foley wants to have a birthday party.
Right.
Fucking 40 years old wants to have a legitimate birthday party.
Fucking ridiculous. And they can't find Sydney, which shouldn't be that shocking because I feel like she's never around, but that's fine. And then they end up locating Ghostface's like shit by being like finally somebody's like, "Hey Dewey, have you ever tried calling that number back that called you?" And Dewey's like, "No." So he calls the number back, and then it rings, and they find the costume. I was like, "What the fuck are we doing? What?" Anyway, Gail and Gail find a dead Roman in the basement. So our director is dead.
Yes,
it scares them. And we learn that the Scream winner, Blue Milton, she gets got. The Gales run away. They're like a team now. I don't know why, because they kind of hate each other. And he's just after anyone, man. We get the fake Randy getting stabbed, the movie Randy getting stabbed. Dewey gets stabbed again, which is fucking alarming. And then the Gale's 2.0, like turns into a full Scooby-Doo movie at this point, right? Like fake movie Gale is behind mirrors. Like there's like secret passages in this house. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then Dewey gets a phone call, and it's actually crazy because he starts accusing Courtney Cox of like, well, Gale Weathers, right? Of like calling him. It's so weird. But we've been building to this moment this whole time, right? Because he's been imitating everyone's voice. He's not Ghostface, right?
Right.
He's using everyone's voice. So like this entire movie has been building to the moment where it's like suspicion among the friends. Like, I got a call from you saying this. So we've been building to this moment, like almost like a thing, like intergroup issues, right? And that's all just blown away by being like David Arquette being like, "What? What? It's not you?" And that's it. That's it. All of this buildup of Ghostface using everyone else's voice for David Arquette to be like, "Excuse me? What? It wasn't you?" And her being like, "No, what?" is absolutely crazy. And Dewey ends up saving her. Oh, well, trying to save her, but he has no bullets in his gun. And then Ghostface throws a knife. Ghostface is at the bottom of a stairwell. Dewey's at the top of the stairs, pointing a gun that does not have bullets in it. And Ghostface throws a knife, slow motion, and the butt of the knife just hits David Arquette square in the forehead, knocking him out, and he falls down the stairs. You fucking kidding me right now? Or what? What movie is this? And Wes is just directing this, being like, perfect. Cut. Great. Print.
Fucking slapstick.
Oh my God. Also, more of a reason for this guy to get a come up in part 5. I honestly hope for his sake he like gets some type of fucking retribution. Ghostface calls Sydney, who's still sitting at the police officer's office for some reason. And also finds a folder on herself, which like I thought was going to be a key part to this, but it's not at all. So ignore that. And Ghostface is like, "Don't you want to know who killed your mother?" And that's what leads Sydney to the house. She also makes sure to pack a gun from the detective's desk. Ghostface tells her.
It's very weird because, like, she knows who killed her mother.
Yeah, she does. And by the way, that remains
knew
the
that
same.
2 movies ago.
By the that does not change. And that is actually one of my biggest problems with this movie. So that does not change. Fun fact, she knows who killed him and she will know who killed him when this ends. And it's the same result. Fun fact. But Ghostface tells her to come to the house and then is like, pick up the metal detector and scan yourself. And she does like the most half-assed scan, but he's cool with it. It makes her throw a gun in the pool. And she goes in, she sees Dewey and Gale tied up. She goes to help them. Spoiler, she has an extra gun in her pocket, which you knew because that was another scene where she picked up a gun very deliberately. And she shoots Ghostface, but he gets away. She shoots him like 10 times and she turns around, goes back, and he's gone. Also, the craziest thing is when she shoots Ghostface in that scene, it for some reason cuts to David Arquette's face, who goes, yeah! And that's that. But then, so Ghostface disappears, and then guess who shows up? The fucking cop, right? McDreamy. Now, did you read why he showed up in this scene?
I did not.
This is my favorite bit. They realized they forgot, dude, he was not supposed to be in the end of the movie at all. And they realized they forgot they never tied up his story. So they were like, whoa, shit, we should probably just bring him back. Fucking poor fucking Patrick Dempsey had to be brought back to record these scenes, to film these scenes where he just shows up for no reason, knowing damn well that he had no point to be in this. But they were like, oh, I guess we should explain what happened to this guy. We just wrote him out.
Dude, listen, they kind of pulled it off because
they
I'm
did.
Pretty sure Nev is like, well, why are you even fucking here? And he gives like, it's like a one-line throwaway reason, but it made enough sense to not make you be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I thought he was the fucking killer like the entire time.
I did too. Yeah, I think his reasoning is something just like, well, I figured you might be.
Dude, he says, I heard, dude, I wrote this down actually. That's funny that you say that. I didn't realize I wrote it down until now. He says, I heard shots. What? Why? Why are you there? What? You'd still have to be near the house. Why are you near the house to hear? He goes, I heard shots. And it's like, wait, excuse me. But then Ghostface shows up, fights Kincaid, gets the better of him too. It appears Kincaid's fucking dead. Sydney is on the run though, and she runs into her mom. Okay? Now, and by mom, I mean it's somebody in a body bag talking with her mom's voice. Her mom has been dead. The Ghostface pulls off the body bag. It's Ghostface doing Sydney mom's voice. And at this point, Ghostface has removed the talk box from his mouth and now is still doing the Ghostface voice. Not only has Ghostface removed the voice box from his mouth to speak, he is also using like hand gestures. Like he like points to himself with like both hands, which he's never done. He's a very animated speaker in this. And guess what? Ghostface is Roman.
Yes.
Yeah. The bright side of this, though, is that we got like weird 1960s like JFK assassination footage of Maureen Prescott. That I guess was shot by Roman. I don't know why.
Okay. So it was shot by Roman, right? Like right. He got that footage of Maureen,
right?
But you are 100% correct. It's shot on like the Zapruder film.
Right. It's like shaky old like film footage. It looks exactly like the JFK film. It's crazy. And by the way, so this is only like 5 years ago.
Dude, okay. That's what like threw me off when they said that. Because like Roman's not old, right? Roman's like Sydney's age.
Right.
And like why would he's a director, so why would he not have access to better film?
He absolutely would. He absolutely would. Also, I love that the storyline was like Roman approached Sydney's mom and was like, "It's me, your baby boy." And Maureen was like, "Get the fuck out of my face."
By the way, Roman is Maureen's son.
Oh, right. Spoilers.
He's Sydney's half-brother.
Sydney's half-brother, Maureen's son from, like, a sex party in Hollywood. Which is, like, really, like, the most tragic part of it, but is not, like, really talked about that much. But Maureen's like, "Get the fuck out of my house." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And that's when he's like, he basically is like, "That's why your mom's a slut, because she got fucking raped in Hollywood." Which is like,
it's also his mom.
It's also his mom, and also the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, what are you talking about? That's so nuts. And then what is the line? Is it Sydney that's like, Sydney's like, "I want Final Cut." And he's like, "I already have that." Oh, man. Roman and Sydney then finally get into it. The true finale starts here. Did you notice anything weird about this fight that, like, stuck out to you by any chance? It's not like a huge thing, but it's something that stuck out to me.
I'm wondering when you say it, because I think I was just too busy being occupied with the fact that Roman has the most effective bulletproof vest
of all time. Yeah, no, that's fucking insane.
Bulletproof vests might save your life, right? But and that's still a pretty strong might.
It's a might.
Though at the very least, like, break your ribs, if you get shot multiple times with it. This guy's eating bullets to the chest repeatedly throughout this film.
That's what I was saying to someone. If you get shot with a bulletproof vest, the odds are that you're going to have broken ribs at best, probably, right? Like, and getting shot 7 times, like, you're for sure fucked up.
You're not running around. Like,
you're not
going to be incapacitated.
You're fucked up. And then get into another gunfight later where you get shot again. Cause I'm pretty sure, like, that gel only, like, it can only sustain so much, like, damage. So at a certain point, it actually becomes useless, right? And the bullets will just penetrate it because, like, you can't get shot 100 times with a bulletproof vest on. But that's what happens. This finale, though, is crazy because to me, it stuck out. And, like, I thought I was losing my mind, but then I, like, really thought about it. And I was like, no, that is crazy. Roman and Sydney punch each other in the face so many times that, like, blows to the face. I've never seen so many blows to the face in a fight in my life. Like, usually there's body shots. If you rewatch this, it's actually, like, the funniest shit. I rewound it because I was laughing so hard. They are just going toe to toe, boxing. But dude, like, they both have broken hands. They're just punching each other as hard as they can in the face. It's actually the craziest thing. Like, they each get at least, like, 12 to 15 blows to the face in this fight. And by the way, not a scratch on their face. Like, it's crazy. But Sydney finds, Sydney says, what does she say? She's like, what does she say? Found something? I don't know. I wrote a note that says, Sydney says found something. I don't know. But Roman shoots her with a Civil War era pistol that he's somehow obtained twice. But when he turns around, Sydney's gone. Bum, bum, bum. And, like, I get this. Like, this is cool. Like, this is a callback to Randy being like the main character can die. But it's just not effective because you know Nev's not going to die.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't set that up from the beginning.
We find out that she escapes and she survives being shot with that pistol because she too has a bulletproof.
She also has a bulletproof vest. and says the greatest line in Scream history, and by greatest I mean worst. She says, "I guess we do think alike." Okay. And then she kills him, man. She fucking kills him.
Oh, we didn't say we know that he filmed the Zapruder Texas depository footage, but he also told her that he personally delivered video footage of her banging Billy's mom to Billy, which caused him to murder her.
I think that is one of the most upsetting things in a franchise. I genuinely do, dude. Like, kind of like, it's not like a full retcon, but like, it's just undermining all the other movies that we've watched, right? Like, what the fuck? Why do you have to?
Billy and Stu told her everything at the end.
Yes.
Why wouldn't he be like, hey, by the way, your mom's such a... Like, because they keep pointing out that her mom was...
That's all they talked about.
That's all they said for like the last 15 minutes. Why wouldn't he be like, by the way, your mom's such a whore that she has another child and he delivered me footage. Like, that's how I found... Like, he would say that. Why is this the first time we're finding out about this?
And why wouldn't Roman then be involved in the part 2? Like...
Or the part 1. Like, why wouldn't he do any of this?
Why? Like, what is happening? Like, and there's like fan theories. They were like, oh, Roman's been in all of these movies because, like, in part 1, there's a ghost face in the grocery store when technically Stu and Billy are harassing Randy, right? And they were going to film Ghostface watching from the tower at the end of 2. And it's like, oh, so maybe that was Roman this whole time. First of all, if you've read anything behind the scenes of these movies, nothing makes sense and nothing was planned. So fucking throw that out the window, right? Like there's no, why are you making that up? Why are you making that story up? Second, in 2, like he has no part in 2. Like his explanation here has nothing to do with Scream 2. It's just the first one. He's just like, I convinced Billy to do that, which is just like, it just undermines the first one so much. Like, I don't, like, it actually bums me out because, like, just leave that alone. Why are we doing that? Why are you doing this?
I agree. It seems pretty unnecessary.
It's so unnecessary. Like, Roman could have just been the fucking whatever, the brother. Like, even that's insane, but whatever. But yeah, so that's it. So, Roman is the brother. He has orchestrated the killing of his own mother because she turned him away. And that's the end of that. And now he's still mad. He's still so mad. Anyway.
Now he's dead.
Now he's dead from like the tiniest
ice shows back up.
Tiniest ice pick in the world I've ever seen. One of those tiny little like cocktail ice picks. She stabs him in the neck and he's like, R.I.P. And then Sydney holds his fucking hand as he dies. What the fuck are you doing? Let go of that freak's hand. Also, Courtney Cox shows up in that moment, and she says, it was Roman, and it was the most... Dude, I don't think she realized who the killer was. I think she learned in that moment. It was like, that's just as mad as
probably
us.
A possibility. Yeah, that's probably a possibility.
Because there's also a scene in the moment before this where they're trying to get in, and it's like a fake bookcase, because it's a Scooby-Doo movie, you know? It's a fake bookcase that's a door, and they're like banging on it, and you see David Arquette accidentally hit a book into her face, and I've never seen a woman look so angry. Like... Dude, I thought she would, like, if you rewatch it, it looks like she's about to fucking punch him in the balls. Like, dude, the book hits her right in the fucking mouth because David Arquette, like, bounces it off of his elbow. He, like, knocks it out of the case and it hits her in the mouth. Anyway, it was Roman. It was. And then, of course, it was like, he's never dead. And then Dewey shoots Roman 1,000 times in a bulletproof vest, which does not stop him. And then before Sid's like, can you please shoot him in the head? Which he finally does. And that's the end of Roman. And that's the end of the Scream trilogy as we know it. This was supposed to be the end of a fucking franchise that we hold in high regard.
Yeah.
And Gale and Dewey are finally back together again. Oh, Dewey's proposal is the craziest part of this, right? Of this obscene movie, the craziest part is Dewey and Gale on the front porch, and Dewey's like, will you sign my book? And she's like, Dewey, shut the fuck up. Which, like, a fair answer to, like, if your boyfriend or, like, girlfriend were like, can you please sign my book? After, like, 2 years of being like, I hate your fucking guts. And Dewey's like, please sign my book. And she opens it and there's a giant ring in there. Again, by all accounts, they haven't even like really dated.
This is the course of like 2 days, right? And So like the day before is the first time they've seen each other in what seems to be a while. And they were like, I fucking hate your guts.
You stupid idiot.
Dewey was living with that other girl.
With that other woman. And now he's proposing to her, and she is thrilled. And we end the movie at Sydney's house. Also super weird, though, because Gail's there, Dewey's there, cool. And then Patrick Dempsey shows up and is like, want to watch a movie? And she's like, what movie? And he's like, you'll have to find out. Dude, if I'm Sydney and somebody says that to me, like, what kind of movie? And he's like, you'll have to see. I am shooting you on fucking sight. Are you fucking kidding me? What kind of fuck is that a threat? What the fuck is that? But why is Patrick Dempsey there?
Why is he there? He just freely walks into the house.
And fun fact,
Yes.
They filmed that scene 3 different ways. One without Patrick Dempsey, one with Patrick Dempsey with a sling, and one with Patrick Dempsey without a sling. This movie is such a mess. Like the making of the movie is such a fucking disaster. It's actually crazy for the franchise it was. This was the second lowest financially performing film in the Scream series. The lowest being Scream 4, which surprised me because that one was the one they took the long hiatus for, right? It's like,
yeah, I would have thought it would have had like the nostalgia factor. So
for sure. Like I thought it would have been Scream 1, Scream 4, 3, and 2. That would have been my guess. Or like 2 and 3 are interchangeable kind of. But
I mean, two makes sense that it was higher grossing because one was so big.
Scream 4 like being this low is fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
But I guess they had. You know what? It shows you how much this movie burned its bridges with the fans because, like, really, like that's actually crazy that Scream 4 is the lowest. That really shows you that like Scream 3 like pissed people off, right? Like, if it had made people happy, like Scream 4 would have been a fucking smash.
Sure. Yeah.
Fucking nuts. And that is Scream 3, guys. Scream 4 next week, and then Scream 5. I already bought my tickets to Scream 5.
Shit.
I saw people pre-ordering them online, so I was like, fuck, is this going to be like a Spider-Man thing? Hey, Joe, guess what? Every ticket was available, so don't. I wouldn't fucking sweat it. I think we've got a new lowest performer coming on the book soon. But yeah, you might want to buy them just in case. But I bought my tickets for the opening weekend. We'll do that. We'll cover that. That'll be a fun episode, I think. I'm excited, man. I'm digging these movies as much as we shit on this.
I'm liking doing this. Yeah.
It's a mess. It's like a total fucking mess, but like it's interesting, man. And it's a real like insight into like making movies because you'd think if there's any fucking franchise where it was like a well-oiled machine, it had the money behind it, it would have been Scream, right? Like, and somehow it's the biggest mess we've ever covered in our like history. Like, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy what a mess these are. What a mess. Is Wes Craven our next serial killer? I mean, we've kind of covered.
Keep the ball. You just want to keep the ball rolling.
I mean, I don't think I can do.
You can't do. I mean, I really want to do Shocker,
dude. I want to do Shocker too. I looked up to see
Deadly
if there.
Friend.
Listen, I looked up to see if there was any raping in Shocker. Here's the deal: there's not. However, apparently Shocker was rated X, and they've never released the uncut version, so it's a possibility. That's all I'm saying. Wes is a maniac. I think it might be in there. So, that's it, man. Merchandise, by the time this episode drops, we'll have all the extra merch that we have available. So head on over there to IHateHorror.com. You can find the shop there. I think there's I think on our Instagram we have a like a link tree now. Is that a thing? Linked tree? Like,
sounds right.
Those fancy people have. Reagan set that up for us. I'm trying to get to our website, which is not fucking working. It's actually pissing me off. What the fuck? Oh, here we go. Is it store? store.ihatehorror.com. You can head over there. We'll have all the new merch up there. So head on over to the site and pick up whatever merch we have left. Hopefully we have your size. So take a look. We got t-shirts. We got the long sleeves. Very limited. So check that out. Thanks to Joe for doing the show with me. Facebook.com/ihatehorror. ihatehorror.com. Instagram @ihatehorror. And Twitter @ihatehorrorshow. And live show coming up in a couple weeks, right? Yeah, like the 29th, I think.
Yeah.
Is that right? Or the 22nd?
Sounds right.
I don't know.
Sounds right to me.
No, I think it's the 22nd. I think we said. Fuck.
Isn't that your son's party? You'll be able to do it?
Oh, fuck. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. Shit. Yes, January 22nd, we're doing Scary Movie. And yeah, I'll be able to do it. January 22nd. So the 18th is the Scream 5 episode, and then the 22nd will be our live show with Scary Movie. So I'll put that up too, guys, so you can head on over to ihatehorror.com to get tickets to that if you're not a Patreon member. Patreon members, you'll get a discount to the live show, and of course, Mango Experts get in for free, baby. So check that out. Joe, where can they find you?
Instagram, Boognish1985.
And that's a wrap, guys. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you all. And for Joe, this is Sean. Stay weird.
Thank you.
Adios.
I dissect movies all fucking day.
I wanna play.
I'm gonna watch what I'm not supposed to watch. A fucking zombie getting sliced and diced. The monster.
Mutilate.